Good afternoon. My name is Stacy McNeil, and today I'm going to be discussing the topic of Erikson and the psychoanalytic theory, which you can see right up here, psychoanalytic theory. Erik Erikson was born June 15, 1902 to May 12, 1994. He was a German-American developmental psychologist and psychoanalyst, known for his theory of psychological development of human beings. He was famous for the phrase identity crisis. Erikson served as a professor at the University of California, and also Yale. Erikson was credited for being one of the originators of ego psychology, which stressed the role of ego as being more of a servant of the id. Erikson did accept Freud's theory, but he did not focus on the parent-child relationship. He gave more importance to the role of the ego, particularly how the person progressed as self. According to Erikson, the environment was very crucial in how a child grew up. He believed that the child's environment affected how that child would actually be as development progressed. In his discussion, he mentioned he referred to it as prolonged adolescence, which led to further investigation. He also called it emerging adulthood. So he had 8 different stages in which he explained those different things. And the first stage was hope, basic trust versus basic mistrust. And this stage is ages from 0 to 18 months, in which this stage of life, the baby develops trust or basic mistrust. The baby learns how to trust the mother. When the baby cries, he or she is looking for mothers to come, and that's how he builds that trust with the child. It depends on the quality of the maternal relationship, how that child even acquires that trust, and which is very critical later on in life. How the child learns to trust others. A sense of personal meaning on the child. Also, providing a stable environment and constant care for the infant is very important as well, in how the child will develop as an adult later on in life. So then the child's trust can transition into other relationships with other people other than just the parents. The child also develops trust and support with others. And if this is successful in this stage, which is the trust, then the baby will form the basis in the child for a sense of identity. And failure to develop this trust will result in a feeling of fear. The child will be scared to actually lean towards other people or open up or anything like that. And the world will be inconsistent and unpredictable in that child's eyes. So step 2 would be will, autonomy, which is independence versus shame. And this covers the ages of 1 to 3 years old. And in this concept of autonomy, which is independence versus shame and doubt, the child will begin to discover his or her own independence. And the parents must facilitate this. The child's sense of doing basic tasks by himself will give him or her a sense of independence. Also, the child discovers that he or she can do different things, and it's very important to ensure the child is able to explore different activities. So this will give the child a sense of independence as well. Erikson believed that in this stage, it's very essential for the child to have a sense of freedom and explore and also be creative in the environment, which is you have to welcome those failures. Everything is not going to be perfect. So he believed that along with learning to be independent, you have to know that everything the child does is not going to be right. So there are going to be some failures. But the parent should not punish or reprimand that child for failing at a task at this age. It's only helping them along, of course, into adulthood. Shame and doubt also occurs in this stage. So you just have to encourage the child. So children in this stage are successful if they have self-control without a loss of self-esteem. Stage 3 would be purpose, initiative versus guilt. And this ages would be ages 3 to 5. And the question that I would ask in this stage is, does the child have the ability to do things on their own? Such as dress him or herself, interacting with peers. Things of that nature is very important in this stage. Playing his or her own games and activities. If allowed, let the child make decisions, is what Erikson believed. The child would develop a sense of confidence in his or her ability to lead others. If the child is not allowed to make certain decisions, then the sense of guilt develops. Guilt in this stage is characterized by a sense of being a burden to others. The child will therefore usually present his or herself as a follower and not a leader. The child will ask many questions to build his or her character and knowledge of the world. Success in this stage leads to virtue of purpose, which is the normal balance between the two extremes. Stage 4 would be the industry versus inferiority, which is the school age 6 to 11. The child will be comparing self-worth to others, such as in the classroom environment. The child can recognize major disparities in personal abilities relative to other children. Erikson placed some emphasis on the teacher, who should make sure that the child do not feel inferior to any child. During this stage, the child's friends groups increases in importance in his life. And during this stage, the child will try to prove himself to his or her friends or society. And in this stage, the child increases feelings of adequacy and competency and the ability to reach goals. In their role. So those was 4. So number 5 would be the identity versus role confusion. And this is a really big one for Erikson. And the ages would be ages 12 to 18. And the child is questioning of self. Who am I? And how do I fit in? Where am I going in life? And the adolescent is exploring and seeking his or her own unique identity. They're trying to get a sense of who am I? This is done by looking at personal beliefs, personal goals, and personal values. And this will also stem back to trust in the first stage of learning how to trust. So Erikson believes that the parents allow the child to explore, she will determine his or her own identity. If you allow the child to explore, they will become their own. And a lot of teens will face identity confusion, but you just have to let the child find his way. This is Erikson's theory. The teen also looks towards the future in terms of employment, relationships, and family. This is very, very important. She or he provides society or looks at society as an essential piece, since the child is developing into their own. So and that one, identity crisis and role confusion can cause the adolescents to try different lifestyles. Number 6 would be love, intimacy versus isolation. And this is the ages of 18 and 40. This is the stage of adult development. In this stage, the dating comes along, marriage, family and friendships. and it's very important in this stage in life. And due to the increased growth of intimate relationship with others, this is what makes this stage very, 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 very important. Successfully forming loving relationships so that your child or whoever can become a loving person is very, very important. The feeling of feeling safe, cared for, and a commitment in these relationships. Those who fail to form lasting relationships may feel isolated. Be care, generosity versus stagnation. And this is the second stage of adulthood, which happens between the ages of 40 and 65. And during this time, people are normally settled in their lives, and they know what is important to them. A person is either making progress in their life, in their career, they're treading lightly in their career, or they may just be unsure of what they want to do. This is also a way of contributing to society, along with productivity at work, involvement in communities, and different activities. And the last one would be the wisdom, ego, integrity versus despair. And this is the ages of 65 and on. And in this stage, the individual has reached the final stage or the last chapter in her or his life, and retirement may be approaching or has already taken place. So this means that the acceptance of life is in its fullness. The victories and the defeat, what was accomplished and what was not accomplished, has already taken place. Wisdom is the result of successfully accomplishing the final developmental task. Wisdom is defined as informed and detached concern for life itself in the face of death itself. Having a guilty conscience between the past or the failing accomplishments are very important and will eventually lead to depression or maybe hopelessness. Achieving the virtue of the stage involves the feeling of living a successful life. So I have went over Erikson's 8 stages of the psychoanalytic theory. He did, like I said, which was why I chose this topic, was because I do feel the same way in some sense. I feel that the way you grow up sometimes affects you in the long run. So you have to show love, and it starts when the baby is born. So that's why I chose this topic. And I'm just going to go over the 8 topics very quickly again. Row 1, one was trust versus mistrust. 2 was autonomy versus shame and doubt. 3 was initiative versus guilt. 4 was industry versus inferiority. 5 was identity versus role confusion. 6 was intimacy versus isolation. 7 was generosity versus stagnation. And 8 was ego integrity versus despair. So this is my video. Feel free to leave me comments and constructive criticism. And I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you.